Can I tell you right now that there's a many of individual that has kept himself morally pure and has been righteous and clean. All of a sudden they went off to some college somewhere with a bunch of reprobates and infidels that told them, hey, if you ain't ever drunk a beer and you haven't ever had illicit sex, then you ain't ever lived. And just one time on a whim they go and take a taste of a beer and they wake up with somebody they don't know, and then a few months later they find out they've got AIDS and they're dying. Can I tell you, sin will affect your health. I read just not long ago a story about a man that would go around and preach in different places. He was in Alabama preaching at an ABC liquor store. The owner came out and said, you gotta leave. You can't be here. He said, wait a minute. He said, the liquor label that's on those bottles says property of the state of Alabama. He said, I am a part of Alabama. What do I look like, a grasshopper? I'm a part of Alabama. He said, I've got every right to stand out here and to preach against your sin. He looked at that liquor store owner and said, hey man, are you saved? He said, no, I'm not saved, you funny dud, and I don't like your kind around here. He went on to tell him a few of the choice things. He sold liquor right on the line of Alabama and Georgia. What we found out later, that same preacher found that man that was selling liquor at a car lot, selling cars, and he asked him how he was doing. He said, let me tell you, preacher, how I'm doing. He said, I live in Georgia. He said, I've got a granddaughter that is the apple of my eye. I've got a son and a daughter-in-law, and I love them with all of my heart. He said, just a year ago, he said there was somebody that came and they were a drunk driver and they hit my son and his whole family. He said, I rushed to the hospital when I got the news. There stood my son. There stood my daughter-in-law. I asked them how they were. They said, we're okay, Dad. Everything's all right. We made it out. He said, where is the apple of my eye? Where is my granddaughter? Where is that little girl I love so much? They said, Daddy. He said, come on now, tell me where's she at? They said, Daddy, we gotta tell you, she died in the wreck. They started studying, and what they found is that that individual had sold and had bought alcohol in the state of Alabama. He looked at that preacher. He said, I can't live with myself because every day of my life I wake up thinking, did I sell the individual alcohol that went and got drunk, got in the car and killed my little granddaughter? Can I tell you, sin won't just find you hurting, but it will affect your health. But it doesn't stop there. It will affect your heritage. It will affect your children. It will affect everybody around you. You better wake up before it's too late. Find an antidote. Find a remedy. You can't outrun sin by yourself. Sin will find you. God help us this morning. Can I tell you, not the last, but the worst place you could ever find you is in hell. A rich man lifted up his eyes, saw Lazarus. He wanted out. He knew it was too late. A million times he thought over it. It finally caught me. And it's found me here. Can I tell you the worst day of your life? I want to tell some of you right now. I gave an example yesterday about an old contrary mule. That ain't the end of the story. Can I tell you those old mules? You might find a good set. They plow for you. Every once in a while something would scare them. They take off running. It doesn't matter how strong you are. They drag you until you finally figure out you better let go. Those mules would take off running. I heard a story of an older man that happened to him. As those mules ran off, his daddy came over, helped dust him off. Said, some one of these days you'll just learn to let it go. Said he sat there and he heard those mules just clomping, running down the highway. He thought, Dad, this is a waste. We're never going to find the mules. He said, no. He said, listen, I want to teach you a life lesson, son. He said, those same old mules that despise you and hate you for what you're doing to them, can I tell you, they'll wander off somewhere and they'll get stuck in some briar patch. They'll get caught up in some gate, some fence. Those same old mules, they don't want anything to do with you. They'll be crying for you. He said, just meander down the road, take your time. He said, you'll find them.